Aruna Shanbag, that we were next door. We were living in the doctor's quarters, this was nurse's quarters. And Femina asked me to interview the matron, and it was terrible. And worse than the rape, I think, was that she did not die. She should have died. That's what I feel now. But of course, there was a big strike because they just wanted to quietly transfer her to a suburban hospital. The nurses got together and created a huge, I remember seeing the nurses marching. They didn't go to work that day. They said she will not be sent there. Then the commissioner came, the municipal commissioner, because KM is a municipal hospital. He had to placate to the nurses, and then they agreed that they will not. And they looked after her very well. In fact, before I wrote the binding wine, in fact, the binding wine was based on what happened to Aruna Shanbag. I went there to the hospital, sat there for some time, and I didn't want to see her, She had become, in fact, the nurses wouldn't allow, they fought against the idea of letting her die. It was terrible. Such a beautiful young girl. We used to see her going in the morning to work. Then comes Nirbhaya. That was another one which really shook us, I think. It shook all of us. Rape has always happened. Rape continues to happen. Why that particular one? Maybe because the way she fought back. Maybe because it happened in Delhi. All kinds of things. But like I said, for me, the great moment was when her mother said that my daughter is Jyoti Singh. She's not Nirbhaya. It was like throwing off the shame. Then why should they be ashamed? I remember one girl in Bombay who was raped sometime after that, and she came out with her face open. She said, why should I be ashamed? The man should be ashamed. That girl lost a lawyer who was raped by that, building where the man, the electricity, whatever, he was a lift man or whatever. These are all stories which haunt you. I remember the Hindustan Times had a whole series on this issue of rape, and they asked us to write in the form of a letter. I wrote a letter to men about rape, and it's hard to understand. People care for their wives, they care for their daughters so much. Their mothers are holy and revered to them. Their sisters are so sacred, you don't allow anyone to say anything about it. What happens when it is a woman from another family? What drives them to that? It is so difficult to understand. And there are all kinds of reasons now that, they see porn and, which they never did before. So they are driven. Women are more accessible. The women are all over the place. Whatever it is the most uncivilized act of one human being against another, according to me. It's really bad. And not a single woman who does not have a story of being assaulted in one way or another, in a crowd, in the dark, somewhere or the other. And there's not a single woman who is not afraid to go out in the dark because of that. This is something which no man will understand. For me, particularly rape, I've got this binding wine about rape. Then I have a story. It somehow seems to me the greatest violation of any other human being to me. Whether it's the rape of a child or a male young boy by an adult male, whoever, whatever it is nauseating. And how we need to take such strong, not just punishing them, but from the beginning, teaching boys and girls to be together, teaching them to respect one another. The respect is lacking. They do not Indian men do not respect women.